Get started here. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Thank you, thank you. What day is it? October 16th. Welcome to the HRC meeting. I'm Joy Coleman, the chair. Ellie, would you like to give the people some good information?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Good evening, everyone. Please silence your cell phones to minimize distractions during the meeting. When the chair calls for public comment, please approach the podium to indicate you wish to speak. Virtual participants should use the raise hand function to indicate they wish to speak during public comment. Once your name is called, please unmute and turn your camera on to provide your comments. Please state your name and zip code before speaking. The city reserves the right to turn videos off or mute participants. The primary format for accessing or participating in this meeting is in person at City Hall. Virtual access to view or participate in the meeting cannot be guaranteed. The chat function will not be monitored. If you have any trouble, the meeting can be viewed on the city's YouTube channel and cable channel 25. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellie. Now we'll take a roll call of the commissioners. Commissioner Hernley.
Present.
Commissioner Klein.
Commissioner Klein, present.
We're fixing the audio. Okay. Commissioner Buchanan.
Here.
Commissioner Cunningham.
Here.
Commissioner Dearborn.
Here.
And I'm here, so 6. We have 6. We have 7.
6 out of 7.
We have 6 out of 7, but we don't have 7 board members. But we'd love to have another board member. So number 7, lucky number 7, you're out there somewhere. Come to us. Okay, let's get into the first part, communications. Have we received communications from other commissions, the State Historic Preservation Officer, or the general public?
You have no communications this evening.
Fantastic. Ex parte communications. Any board members have any discussions about items on the agenda? Nope. Do we have any abstentions tonight from board members?
I have abstention on item E1.
Okay. Public hearing item number 1. All right.
No, E.
No.
Oh, E.
Miscellaneous.
Sorry, miscellaneous. E.
All right.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Hernley. Committee reports. Do we have any committee reports?
We have not actually had any official committee meetings, but I did want to give you an update on the Rice and Dowdell markers. We have a final mock-up of the markers, and we have 3 out of 5 of the committee who have voiced their approval for those. The other 2 have until tomorrow to get me any changes or approval if they want them. So they, the proposed text, information about the QR code leading you and what's going to be at the website, and all of that information will be on your November agenda.
Fantastic, thank you. Okay, Part B, consent agenda. We have a number of design review applications. Any questions or comments about those, or could we hear a motion?
Commissioner Klein will move approval of the attached design review applications according to the standards and information listed in the state report for each application.
I will second that motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Klein and Commissioner Cunningham. We'll take a vote. Commissioner Hernley?
Aye.
Commissioner Klein?
Aye.
Commissioner Buchanan?
Aye.
Commissioner Cunningham?
Aye.
Commissioner Dearborn?
Aye.
And Chair Coleman's an aye. 6-0 passes. Okay, Part C, public comment. If there is anyone in the audience or online who would like to address the commission about items that are not on tonight's agenda, now would be the time to do so. Do I hear any? Nope. Okay, great. We will get right into our public hearing items then. HRC 250022.
Good evening, Commissioners. Lynn Braddock-Zollner, Historic Resources Administrator for the city. This is a little bit of a unique project, so I'm going to do probably a little bit more explanation than sometimes. It is a certificate of approval project as well as a downtown design guidelines project because the property is located in the Downtown Conservation Overlay District. The address on the agenda and everything says 630 Massachusetts Street. This is actually the previous Journal World building, and so it incorporates properties along New Hampshire Street as well as property along Massachusetts Street. This is showing the context area of the J.B. Shane studio at 615 Massachusetts Street, and then the red indicates the Urban Conservation Overlay District. We're going to look at the outside really quickly. On the right side of the screen is the part of the building that we're discussing. Here to the left of this sign is Q29, and we've already dealt with that, so it's just the part on the right side of the screen. And then this is along Massachusetts Street, and the building here we did in 2 slides just to get you familiar with the building. So the actual project does not affect either street frontages of this building. What the applicant is requesting is to demolish a connector piece between the 2 buildings because, number one, there's a sanitary sewer line that actually runs underneath the building, which is not always a great thing, and then also so that they can market the spaces, hopefully to achieve more tenant inquiries to rehabilitate the structures. So this is showing you the property here. This is the Massachusetts Street side, and then this is the New Hampshire Street side. The area in red is what they're proposing to demolish. Because this is located in the Downtown Urban Conservation Overlay District and subject to the downtown design guides, any project that proposes partial or full demolition in the Downtown Conservation Overlay District has to be approved by the Historic Resources Commission, and then it also has to be approved by the Lawrence City Commission. So whatever you decide tonight is the first step, and then this will go forward to the City Commission for their review as well. So that's why, a lot of times when we see something this minor, it's an administrative review, but because this requires review, because it is a partial demolition, you're seeing it on your agenda this evening. This is showing the ends of that connector, and so if you'll see here on the right, this is the portion, let me get my bearings straight, on the Massachusetts Street side, and I believe this is New Hampshire. I think this is the north end of the connector. And then this is the south end right here. A portion of the Journal World building on New Hampshire Street was built around 1955. This connector and the building that fronts Massachusetts Street was built in 1988. So this connector was built during that same 1988 timeframe and is not considered contributing to either structure or the downtown district. To put this in here to show you, this orange line is a major sanitary sewer line. So somehow when they joined the two buildings together, they actually built over this sewer line. This has been one of the challenges for redeveloping this property because, as you know, if the city has to get in there and do work, then we're talking about some significant issues for the property owner. So the plan is to remove the connector so that that area is open once again like an alley so that access can be made to that sanitary sewer line. And this is just a quick to show you that historically it was platted as an alley. If you'll see right here on your left-hand side of the screen, there was an alley all the way through. This alley is still in existence. It's where the train tracks are, pretty much, although they do, and it does incorporate a little bit. But then these lots have all the structures on them have been removed, and it's now the parking lot and part of the train tracks. And you can see that a little bit better on the right-hand side of the screen with the 1949 Sanborn map. If you'll notice, the alley is still open at that time, and you have structure on Massachusetts Street, and you have structure on New Hampshire Street, and then you have what's noted on the plat as an alley, which has become the siding for the rail line. So staff looked at the downtown design guidelines for demolition and also for the standards found in Chapter 22 of the City Code, and found that while demolition is typically recommended to have new construction associated for staff to recommend approval, this case is a little bit unique. One, because that area is not contributing and it doesn't change the main facades of either Massachusetts Street or New Hampshire Street. And then there's that sanitary sewer line. We're trying to get the building off of the sanitary sewer line, so you wouldn't want to go back with new construction in this area. So staff is recommending approval of the certificate of approval and the downtown design guidelines review. And I'd be happy to stand for any questions. Yes.
I'm curious, since it will be an open alley, if there will be any threats of graffiti on the walls, and if so, who would be responsible for removing the graffiti?
Typically, it's the property owner's responsibility. We do have a program where some people can work with our police department on graffiti removal. So it just depends on the situation, how that gets taken care of.
Okay, thanks.
Is the alley, the reconstructed alley, the area that's covered by the part of the building that's being demolished, would that still be private property or city?
No, I believe the intent is for it to return back to city property, but I believe we have somebody from the applicant online that can speak to that further.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for staff?
I have a question. On the north end of this alley, when it reopens, is it connecting, would it connect to the parking lot that is right here across the street from City Hall?
If you can envision that, and let me go back, it has that area where the siding used to be, right here at the top. Let me see if I can get a better. So it doesn't actually connect to the parking lot, but to that siding area where the railroad track was.
Yeah, if you look at it on Google Maps, you can see it's like an.
So you can see here,
It's-
Okay.
right here. So this says alley right, oops, sorry. It says alley right here, so there's an access alley right there right now.
Okay.
So it doesn't connect to the parking lot, but rather to that alley.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
All right, is the applicant online? Is that what we heard?
Hi, this is Tiffany Asher with Paul Werner Architects. Paul was supposed to be on this call. That's why I'm in my car at my kid's soccer practice, but he is stuck on an airplane that was delayed. So I'm going to do my best here. We have been hired by a potential purchaser and tenant of this property. So they, before they purchase this, want to kind of address this sewer situation because down the line, if something goes wrong with the sewer, they obviously don't want their building torn up. I know this property, depending on who buys it or how it gets split up, because there's multiple options for tenants, it is possible it will have to be platted. So it's my understanding, and again, it would be up to the owner and the plat, that would probably, it could either go back to being like city right of way, or it could have a utility easement. I know there's Midco and other utilities already in that alley that will also need to be addressed. We've had meetings with MSO to where if, again, to prevent the tenant finish from being torn up in the future for any possible reason, rerouting the sewer, but that would have to go to the west and then down Massachusetts Street, which we all know would not be cheap or easy. So I think, again, this, as Lynn said, you cannot see this area from the frontage, and it is all because of this sewer line is the reason that this is even being considered. So I can answer any other questions you may have, or I may be able to answer any other questions you may have, but that is, like I said, this is all being driven by that sewer line. And I think MSO is very much in favor of it also.
Yeah, okay, thank you. All right, now, if there's no more questions for the applicant, is there public comment on this item? Okay, none? Then, commissioners? I feel like this is a good one.
It's fine.
Pretty straightforward.
It's good. I don't have the wording in front of me.
There's no downside to this.
All right,
All right, I move that we find that the proposed project meets the standards of review in Chapter 22, Section 22507, and the design criteria in Chapter 22, Section 22508, and issue the certificate of approval for the proposed project.
Commissioner Klein seconds.
thank you, Commissioner Buchanan and Commissioner Klein. We'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Hernley,
Aye.
Commissioner Klein,
Aye.
Commissioner Buchanan,
Aye.
Commissioner Cunningham,
Aye.
Commissioner Dearborn,
Aye.
and I, Chair Coleman, I'm also an aye. So motion passes 6-0 on the certificate of approval.
Okay, I move that we find that the proposed project meets the development and design standards of the downtown design guidelines for the downtown urban conservation overlay district.
Commissioner Klein seconds.
Great, we'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Hernley,
Aye.
Commissioner Klein,
Aye.
Commissioner Buchanan,
Aye.
Commissioner Cunningham,
Aye.
Commissioner Dearborn,
Aye.
and Chair Coleman is an aye. Motion also passes 6-0. Fantastic.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on to the second public hearing item, HRC 250023.
This is also a certificate of approval for the property located at 1015 Pennsylvania Street. It is located in the context area of the Sarah Surplus House at 1002 Pennsylvania Street, and also the Whitcomb House at 1029 Delaware Street. This shows the property location. If you see here in the light blue on the left-hand side of your screen, Pennsylvania Street is here in the center, and then the two listed properties in the adjacent block. And this is Hobbs Park. This is the primary or the front-facing elevation of the structure. If you noticed in your staff report, the proposed project is to remove the existing one-story addition at the rear of the existing structure and replace it with a new addition. They're proposing to remove the windows and replace the windows. Some of the window sizes will change. Some will be proposed to be filled in. And then there is a stair landing that will project into the side yard that will be visible from the primary right-of-way, but it is set back in accordance with the context area standards. So this is showing you the proposed site plan. Here in the white is the existing structure. Also part of this project is a new front porch for the existing structure. Here you see that projection that I was referring to that will be set in that side yard, and it will be visible from the street and the public right-of-way, but it is very far back on the structure. And then the addition is larger than the addition that's being removed. This is showing the elevation, the north elevation, sorry. This shows the existing house here on the left-hand side of the screen, and you'll see the new porch here on the left as well. They're proposing to remove a window that exists here, and we'll look at a different slide that shows that a little bit better in the moment. This is that projection that I was talking about that does project out from the house. It will have shingle siding and a metal roof, and then you'll be able, here is the new addition, also with some shingle siding and lap siding. And then looking at the other side of the house, again, here is the existing house on the right-hand side of the screen with the new porch, and then the proposed addition on the left-hand side of the screen. If you notice, they did exactly what we usually ask people to do. They put the addition in the rear. They also set it and made a demarcation from the historic structure to the new addition. And then here is the rear of the structure. On the left, you'll see what it looks like right now. As you can tell, if you look at the slide, this was likely not original to the house. It has a different foundation and different period windows. Part of it was likely a rear porch at some time that got enclosed. We really don't have good documentation on the date of construction of the house or the addition. But the addition is not really character defining for that main section of the house. And so if you see on the right, this is what it will look like. With large new windows, which are not typical for additions in the context area, but this will not be visible from the primary right-of-way. And even though it has roof shapes that staff does not typically recommend, it will not be visible from the public right-of-way, and the commission has approved these roof forms in the past, and they do exist currently in the context area. And then this is the front or the main elevation. This is the new porch. It would go the full width almost of the structure, which is pretty typical for a structure of this design. And then on the right-hand side, you can see where that new projection will be visible. Staff has a comment in your staff report. One of the concerns for staff was the glazing here on that projection is not totally compatible with the existing structure and is not typical of historic patterns in the context areas. The other thing that was discussed a little bit in your staff report is the removal of windows and the cutting in new windows. I did have a moment to talk to the architect right before this meeting. This is something that the commission needs to discuss. Staff did not keep it as a condition of approval, but if these windows, they appear to be historic. If they can be repaired, they should be repaired. Staff does not typically, on a historic structure of this nature, recommend closing up existing windows and replacing them in a new location with a new window. If you look on this part of the house, I have circled the 2 windows that will go away. And then the drawing on the right shows those with a new window here. This is actually a landing, and they're reconfiguring the stairs on the interior. So that's why they have this change here. And then this, they're proposing a new smaller window here. On this side, you don't have specific symmetry like you do on the elevation that we're about to look at. So it is a little bit more random, the placement of the windows on this side. But if you look at the opposite side, very similar to the front of this existing structure, you'll see how the windows were lined up. And this is part of the character of this existing historic structure. So if these windows can be repaired, they really should be repaired. This window should not be closed in with a new window added. That's not in line with the upper floor. But this is a context area review, and because of the location of the house, these changes they're not highly visible from the public right-of-way. You really have to kind of turn your head a little bit and look at them. It's not the best thing for this historic structure, but this historic structure is not listed. It is a context area review. So staff would recommend that you have a discussion if this meets the standards. If, as always, you're allowed to condition an approval if that's something that you're interested in talking about, and we can discuss that more if you like. Overall, the project is a really good project. The addition is in the rear. It's not visible from the primary right-of-way except for that stair landing that projects a little bit out, but it did meet the standard because of how far it's set back. So staff is recommending that you find that the project meets the criteria and standards in Chapter 22 and issue the certificate of approval for the proposed project. And with that, I'd be happy to stand for any questions you may have.
Thank you. Thanks. Any questions for staff? Is the applicant present? Would you like to say any words?
Good evening, Commissioners. Chris Cunningham from CT Design. Thank you, Lynn, for the wonderful overview. I think that she captured exactly what we're doing. So I guess I can address the windows quickly if that would be a point of discussion.
That would be helpful, yes.
I first will say, the existing windows are in poor shape. I know the owner has expressed interest in replacing those with new energy efficient windows that will seal up nicely. That's not to say that we can't get them to seal nicely with repaired windows, but I know he would like to proceed with new windows and their replacement. There are a couple windows there that, after chatting with Lynn, I think we can modify, I guess, the placement a little bit. As she did note, there is that one window that's kind of at the, I guess that's the north side, that was at a landing. We've, taken the stairs out of the front, moved them to the back, so it would be kind of at floor level now, because we're going to be infilling that floor. But in looking at the plan closely, we may be able to keep the bottom half of that window as a window into the new bathroom. Obviously need to review that with the owner to, I guess, get his thoughts on that. The other one, I guess, on the, let's see, that is the north side, or no, on the south side. I guess I'm jumping around here. On the north side, we are raising the sill of a window because the kitchen is being relocated there. So the new cabinets would be in front of that window, and the bottom of that window would be below. So happy to keep that opening, the head height as it was, and then just shorten it up. We'll infill below that, so the location remains the same. On the north side, where we had added and moved a window where there was one, I'll talk to the owner about that. It was a specific request to do 2 windows there. I think I could probably talk him into doing 1 window that is in the existing location, so that would remain stacked. So I think those are the window questions or issues. So I think what I'd like to do is I could generate a new drawing that would show that, share that with you, get your thoughts and opinions, I guess, on how we might move forward with treating those.
Could I add one more to that? On the
Yes.
east elevation, where you can see on the new stairwell, there's that vertical ribbon window,
Yeah.
for lack of a better description. Can we narrow that so it's more of a historic proportion?
Yeah, we were, going for transparency there. So that's why we're going from wall to wall,
Okay.
more like storefront both sides. So it's, really visible through there. So it, would be
Right.
less impactful as, a window in a wall, but it kind of gives that outer plane as kind of this floating feel. So we really like the thin profile and the openness there. So
Yeah. I know what you were getting at. I was
Yeah.
just wanting to ask if we could, okay.
I think,
there, and maybe, I guess maybe there's, we can look at that a little closer to see if maybe we can scrunch that in a little bit. I know we were kind of tight getting our rise and run and a nice landing there to get up to that second floor. But we can look at that.
thank you.
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Okay, thank you.
That's it.
All right, is there any public comment on this item? No? Okay, I think that, well, it is a context review. It is an old property, not listed or in a district, but it would be nice to salvage as many of the original windows as possible. I understand on the side where the stairs being removed and the bathrooms going in, why that one would be changed.
Yeah.
And then the one beside that, on that same elevation, that looks like not a historic proportion window to me. I was trying to go back and forth between the photos and the drawing, and it seems different.
I think that's the one on the north side.
Yeah.
That's where the kitchen is. So that's where it raised up, right? Or are you talking about
That one. Yeah.
You're talking about this
this
one?
one?
Yeah,
That one?
the smaller one.
Right here,
Yep.
that it may not have been original.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, it just looks different because
It
it's
does
Yeah.
look different than the others.
divided.
Yeah, that horizontal divider looks like a 1950s added window.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be so concerned with that one.
And that's very similar to the ones you see on the rear with that addition that we don't think is original either.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's what the,
Go ahead, Stan.
I think it's worth mentioning on the windows, we hear quite often the energy conservation as a reason for wanting to replace windows. If the original windows, if they are original windows, they look like they are from photos. If they're not in really bad condition, it's fairly easy to repair them. They're easier to repair than new windows. And when you put a good storm window on them, the energy comparison really drops off quite a lot. But you end up retaining a lot of the historic character of the original material. So I really encourage the architect and the owner to take a look at those and consider the possibility of reworking the existing ones.
Thankfully to Dennis, I've got a great contact for restoration.
Yes, it would be,
We will be discussing it.
we would love it if you'd consider it.
yes.
Commissioner Klein.
I might add, I did a newspaper search of the address online, and the earliest article I found was in 1900. This property went through lots of different owners, owners, and then it became rental and owners and et cetera. I won't bore you with all the details. But I didn't know the lot number, so I couldn't search when the lot was purchased, But anyway, so I don't know if that means anything or not in terms of, not knowing the age of the building and how we would possibly determine the age of some of the windows. That's just a ballpark. So.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, any commissioner discussion? Oh, did I ask for public comment?
I believe so.
I did. Oh, great. Thoughts?
Only thing I've got any issue with is the east elevation window. I think if we could make that look a little different, I would like
At the
that.
new stair?
Yeah.
Yeah, narrower.
It just seems kind of awkward to me. The windows on the side, I think it would be ideal to keep them and restore them, but it's not the end of the world simply because it looks like the other homes are relatively close. I don't see the public getting a good view.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, his drawings did a really good job of showing the other houses in
Yeah.
context. Yeah, that was excellent.
Okay, I agree. I would like to hear a motion. I think we need to make a motion considering the discussion about the windows.
Because I'm hoping whatever motion we do that we could, that the owner and designer would not have to come back to the commission again.
Right. We can, do we need to stipulate that in our motion?
One of the things that you can do, you can add a condition to your approval that the applicant and owner work with staff to investigate the retention of those windows and, if possible, maintaining them, or if not, using the design that's presented this evening. In other words, that would give staff the opportunity to approve if they can keep those windows, but if they can't, then they could still move forward with the project you see tonight. Either way, they could move forward. They wouldn't be held up to come back.
Yeah, good.
So Lynn, I think the other question was about the window on the sides of the stair, the landing. Is that correct?
At the new
At the new,
landing.
right. I thought that's what Commissioner Buchanan was asking about.
It was. Okay. And I was talking about the retaining the position and size of the current windows on the south side, which I feel like, as the applicant said, if he were to revise a drawing and submit it to staff for review, that could also be administratively reviewed. Yes, okay. Okay, I will make a motion, since no one else is brave enough.
Go for it.
That we find that the proposed project meets the standards for review in Chapter 22, Section 22507, and the design criteria in Chapter 22, Section 22508, and issue a certificate of approval for the proposed project under, or with the condition that the applicant will explore retaining the size and position of original windows, explore the condition of the original windows to determine if they can be restored, and exploring the proportion, the width of the new window at the stair. Submitting those to staff for administrative review. You're going to explore it, yes. Sound good? Mm-hmm. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Dearborn. We'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Hernley?
Aye.
Commissioner Klein?
Aye.
Commissioner Buchanan?
Aye.
Commissioner Cunningham?
Aye.
Commissioner Dearborn?
Aye.
And Coleman is an aye. It passes 6-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You too.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the third public hearing item.
So I want to point out on this that on your staff report, there is an incorrect address for the property location. In the legal that was published, the address was correct. So the property location is actually where the project is proposed is at 2117 Barker Avenue, and the historic Rotman House is at 2127 Barker Avenue. This is a certificate of approval. It's for the addition of a screen porch on the rear of the structure. Typically, this would be an administrative review because it is behind the structure. It's small. Generally, those are not visible from the public right-of-way. However, this is a through lot, and so the addition will be visible from Rhode Island Street, even though that is the rear of the structure. So that is why it's coming to you this evening for review. So here's the Rotman House at 2127, and then in the light blue, 2117, which is the subject property. This is the primary elevation of the subject property. And this is the site plan showing that it is a through lot from Barker to Rhode Island. The house is placed closer to the Barker Avenue side. And then this is the proposed screen porch, which is 16 by 19. So you can see this was really hard for staff to bring to you, but because of the way the code is written, this has to be a Historic Resources Commission review. And this is looking at it from Rhode Island Street. So, and the porch will be right here in the center. It's a very simple porch. I believe there's a deck there now. They're just enclosing the porch. It will have a metal roof, but it will still have a railing and compatible materials. And this is a rendering proposed by the applicant to show what it'll look like. It's set in, it's subordinate to the primary structure. It meets all the criteria in Chapter 22. So staff is recommending that you find that the proposed project meets the standards and guidelines in Chapter 22 and issue the certificate of approval. And with that, I'd be happy to stand for any questions you might have.
Thank you.
I have a quick question. In terms of that error, is it just going to be administratively just a quick fix on the address? Changing it from...
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
yes.
Okay. Is the applicant present, or would they like to say something? No? Okay. Is there any public comment on this item? We see none. All right, commissioners?
Ready for a motion?
Yes.
Okay. I move that we find the proposed project at 2117 Barker Avenue, just for the record, meets the standards of review in Chapter 22, Section 22-507, and the design criteria in Chapter 22, Section 22-508, and issued the certificate of approval for the proposed project.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Klein and Commissioner Buchanan. I'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Hernley?
Aye.
Commissioner Klein?
Aye.
Commissioner Buchanan?
Aye.
Commissioner Cunningham?
Aye.
Commissioner Dearborn?
Aye.
And Coleman is an aye. Motion passes 6-0. Good luck, whoever you are.
Beautiful project, a beautiful home.
Yeah, it really is.
Yep, it is
Yeah.
wonderful. All right, moving on to item E, miscellaneous items. The first item, Commissioner Hernley is abstaining. Why is this a miscellaneous item?
Yeah.
Because it's a proposed rezoning and there's no development proposal that goes with the rezoning. And so in Chapter 22 and in the ORIAD design guidelines, which is what this is a part of, it requires, it doesn't require, it allows the Historic Resources Commission to comment if they so choose. And I'm going to show you a little bit about this one, and then the applicant is also here to answer any questions. Right now, they're not proposing anything for the site, but the rezoning is from a lower density to a higher density, and their ultimate goal is to redevelop the site. So this is the, let me show you on the ORIAD. This is the ORIAD overlay district, and these properties are located here in the high-density residential district. The plan, the ORIAD plan, as well as the design guidelines, anticipate higher density in this area. The proposed rezoning would fit with the plan, and it would also fit with the design guidelines to have high density here. It's adjacent to the university. It's actually covered on 3 sides by the university. And so that is their plan. So if you look, we'll go back one. So this is the set of properties we're discussing. So there are 5 structures on the site. The ORIAD design guidelines say that when you're considering a rezoning, you should consider the ORIAD neighborhood design guidelines. In the guidelines for high density, if structures were constructed after the period of significance and they are encouraged to, in the high density area, to be replaced with new higher density structures. In this particular location, the overall guidelines still apply. So anything that is 50 years or older, the demolition would have to be approved by the Historic Resources Commission. All of these structures are over 50 years old. Staff has made some assessments for the existing structures and found that 2 of these structures are actually character defining for the Oriad Overlay District. So we'll look at the structures very quickly. This is an apartment complex that was built in 1929. And if you see, there's some wonderful architectural detailing on this structure. I think that to remove this structure would take some consideration and investigation by staff because it is architecturally significant. It was constructed during the period of significance for the overlay district. Adjacent to it, however, this structure has the same address, but it was built in 1964. And while it is historic in that it's over 50 years old, you can see the dramatic difference between the 2 buildings. This one has no character-defining features. It's been altered. It's a very simple structure. And so in staff's opinion, although it is characteristic of the apartment style buildings that were built in the mid-60s in the Oriad neighborhood, it is not character defining for the overlay district. Similarly, this structure was built in 1967. It looks probably like every apartment complex you ever saw in Lawrence that was built in 1967. Again, although it does have some architectural detail, it's not truly character defining for that district, and it's not built within the period of significance. Similarly, this structure was built in 1965. Again, it does have some architectural detail. It is very typical of what was being built in Lawrence in 1965 for apartment complexes, but it sits way back from the primary road, and it's really hard to even see, and it is not character defining for the overall Oriad Conservation Overlay District. However, this little house is on one of the properties that is also being considered for rezoning, and it was constructed in 1937. It hasn't had significant alteration on the exterior. One of the key components in this rezoning is that if this structure or this property is upzoned to R5, single dwellings are not allowed in the R5 district. So if for this structure to stay, it would have to become non-conforming. So that could be a potential challenge down the road for the Historic Resources Commission if you're considering demolition of this structure. The goal, like I said, is to, we haven't in the city had a request to go up to this high of a density. In this zoning district that they're proposing in the R5, there's really no cap to the density, so they can really build as dense as they like. In addition, with the new land development code, they will not be required to provide parking. So that will be part of, they will have to go through this rezoning request, they will have to go through a platting process, and then they will also have to go through a site planning process. So there's quite a lot of process to go, and because the city's never had an R5 zoning request before, the applicant is really trying to understand if that zoning request can even move forward before they spend a lot of time and money on design options for the location. And with that, I'd be happy to stand for any questions you may have. And staff would recommend in this case that you send comment to the Planning Commission and the City Commission, and it may be so you can discuss among yourselves, but it could possibly be something as simple as, you know, you anticipate that the proposed project that's forthcoming will meet the ORIAD design guidelines. And, you know, because the rezoning doesn't really, if you noticed in Avery's staff report, it really is not going to change the density a whole lot. And in the guidelines and in the ORIAD plan, this area is slated for high density. So I'd be happy to stand for any questions you might have.
I guess my question is this preparing for demolishing all of these buildings?
Yeah.
So they can go
Like to me.
even denser with 4, 5, 6, 7-story apartment complexes here?
Yes.
Okay.
Got another. Can we piecemeal out? Like we could say we don't recommend touching Berkeley Place or the house, but the other ones could be redeveloped. Would that be an option, or is it all or nothing here?
I think you can have that discussion among yourselves. If you would want those two properties to maybe hold off on the rezoning until the HRC has a chance to look at the whole project, that's something that you could request from the Planning Commission or the City Commission, or you could just reiterate that whatever happens here needs to meet the guidelines.
If I'm understanding correctly, the zoning is one step, and then we're going to have the whole other issue of which buildings are actually allowed to be demolished.
Correct.
So we're at a multi-step process.
Correct.
So if I'm correct, rezoning doesn't really change anything. It just kind of kicks the can down the road a little bit for the next series.
It
That's
opens
correct.
the door, maybe. It opens the door.
I'm not against opening the door, but I'm definitely against tearing down every place. So that's, you know,
Yeah.
it's down the road.
Lynn, could you remind us of the address of the photo you're showing right here?
This one is
1423.
14, it's listed as 1423. It's the building on the south side. The north side is that later structure.
Can you remind me on the ORIAD design guidelines? It says not to exceed 3 stories, correct?
In the high density, I believe it lets you go higher. I would have to double check that and look at it.
Because this is hitting the new land code.
Well, it's 2 separate reviews. That's why
Yeah,
I want to
that's-
see where the conflicts are between the ORIAD
Yes.
design guidelines and the new development
Yeah, I was
code.
curious
Right.
about that, too.
Yeah, good point.
The Land Development Code actually has a section in it that says if there is a conflict between the base zoning requirements and the design guidelines take precedent.
Okay.
So regardless of what the underlying zoning would allow, the guidelines apply.
And did you say that there are no others very high density?
We have properties that transition to the R4, which is a high density.
But we haven't had requests.
But we haven't had a request for R5, which the R5, I believe it's more than 32 units per acre. I mean, it's really high density.
Yes.
But they couldn't achieve that density with the limitation of the ORIAD design guidelines, correct?
No, I think it's possible.
Yeah, I need to do my homework. Let me pull up.
So our comments would be that if rezoned, we would still be governed by the ORIAD design overlay district guidelines.
That you would expect it to meet those guidelines.
Yes, we would expect it to meet.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the applicant is here if you have any questions.
Do we have questions for the applicant?
Not yet, but to add to that, I think it also says it's not recommended to demo character defining or contributing structures to the district.
And are they listed as contributing?
The ORIA design guidelines do not list contributing and non-contributing. It's what you, as a commission, have to address when the projects come through, because you do have that moving time scale, and then you have, the period of significance for
And
the district.
do we know if they've been surveyed or determined?
I do not think they have been surveyed. I do not think that they have any eligibility information on them.
All right. And if a demolition request was made, then that would come in front of this commission?
That's correct.
Okay. I think we're ready to hear from the applicant, if you have anything to say.
Good evening, Lance Adams, Adams Architects. Yes, this is a brand-new approach for the city of Lawrence with their new R5 zoning. This would be the first place in Lawrence. In our initial discussions with city staff, this was actually the area that they were thinking of when we came forward with this R5, which is a greater density, which would allow 33 units or more per acre. So that's what we're looking at for this combined area. And part of our research on working through this, we talked with the fire department on the project as well. They stated that they would be more than happy to come to any city meeting and talk about the conditions of these buildings. As you can see on one, it had already been on fire. So you can probably think about how they feel about the buildings and what it would take to bring those back up to a usable, fire-safe structure and maintain them where they're at. So that's kind of the apartments. The house itself is a little bit of an unknown. That is coming in from, actually, KU Alumni Association owns that house. So they're using it for parts and pieces, but KU Alumni is participating in this project to help get density in up next to the university where it really needs to be. A couple of items, parking. Parking is required for the project, but the city has, in the new development code, has changed that for apartments. They have changed the verbiage to one parking space per dwelling unit. So for each apartment, one parking space is required on that. That's a change from what you've seen in the past of one per bedroom, and then when you get to 3, it's 1.5, and there's all sorts of different crazy numbers you'd go through. But that's the change. That is less parking. That is not a no parking item. The developer of this area is not new to the apartment housing projects and is working very hard to make sure that we have at least enough parking spaces per bedroom that we're considering for this area. So we're looking at, ahead to how do we not impact the surrounding neighborhood with additional cars, because we're trying to take care of that with the projects themselves. So that's kind of how those parts work. As Lynn stated, we do have some concepts on generally what could we do, what would fit, and how that would work. But with R5 being a brand new development zone for Lawrence, we're kind of in uncharted waters. So we're trying to see if it's acceptable or not. We've asked in one other place and had been by staff directed to something else, to a lower zoning. So with staff's approval on this, though, that really helps us really look at moving forward with this. In my mind, I believe it really helps the city of Lawrence. We are in this is in a dense area. It has a private drive, which is labeled as 15th Street, which it really isn't. It's Alumni Place, which is a private drive through there. The entire project is surrounded by University of Kansas. And then outside of that are fraternities and sororities, which are high-density student housing as it is.
It is a unique location.
So if R5 is going to work, I think this is a pinpoint on a good location for that to happen.
Could you provide, if you don't know, that's fine, but some context for us, like, what other developments might there be, apartment complexes that would be close to that density, that 32 units per acre?
Aberdeen, maybe?
Yeah, for that many, maybe, I'm going to say maybe like Hawker Towers, and I'm just kind of familiar with that. That's a little bit beyond the stadium.
But any of the dormitories, not that they're zoned.
Oh, yeah, all of those would probably.
All of those.
Oh, yeah, way higher than that, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So would you be, I can't do a quick schematic, if you were not able to get the,
Those two buildings are right, you're at one corner and right in the middle.
Yeah.
There's no way you can build around that. I mean, it'd be a U shape, and we've probably all seen that movie Up. And you're going to end up with the little guy, and the kid comes by with the
Yeah.
balloon, and the house is going to have to fly away because
yeah.
it would be in that area. It's
Okay.
It's not a realistic thing to try to maintain that. And particularly the apartment building there that Lynn pointed out was one that the fire marshal said, you know, can I go in and be the first person to tear it down? It's in so bad of shape inside, and for the fire hazards, I guess the way it's designed, and I have not been in it.
Is that the 1929 building or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, rats.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's a neat
I have
building.
a question for you. So I know that I looked up the addresses and saw the newspaper coverage on that fire that was at one of those Coachman apartments.
Right.
And then those two apartments that are boarded up were actually condemned because there's no secondary exit,
Correct.
which I'm sure is the case for the other units in that area. So I understand why they want to bring it up to code or replace it. The combined area there, is that, I added that up, it looked like it was 1.5 acres. Do you know if that's correct?
Yeah, it's somewhere under 2.
Okay.
I don't have the exact number in my head.
With
I
them,
believe it's in the staff report. If
Yeah,
you wanna look at the.
I saw it somewhere, 1.34.
1.34.
Yeah.
So with the number of apartments that's already in those combined areas, like if those 4 apartment buildings are all 4 units, are all 12-unit buildings, all 4 of them, then right now you have 48 units in there, plus that house that's, I think has been being used as like off-campus housing for students and like overflow housing. So my question is, by upzoning this to R5, what difference does that make? Because in the current zoning that it is at R4, the buildings could be demolished and replaced, and you could still have the same number of units or even more units without the zone.
Yeah, the R4 is a limiting at 32 per acre. So that's at 1.34 times that, you're going to be at 42 or 3, something like that. So,
Oh, R4 is 32 units.
yeah, that's correct. Maximum. R5 is a minimum with no maximum. Now, the conceptual plans for this area are not, if everyone's in their head thinking about, oh, we're going to have the here is going to be built here again. That is not, we've got 3 separate buildings planned for this area. It's just the unit counts are higher than what's on there.
Would the 3 buildings be designed to look like each other?
Yeah, in some form or fashion, yes, they will read as similar.
But that design will have to come back to the Historic
Absolutely,
Resources
yeah.
Commission.
Yeah, I think at minimum, we'd be looking at it, making sure it meets the ORIAD design guidelines.
Right, and the question you asked earlier, where are the differences between the two? That's been some of our questions as well, that we've asked staff to help us identify where the ORIAD and the new development code are in conflict with each other,
Yeah.
so we can really create a winding path through those two to a successful project.
When I think back to the creation of the ORIAD design guidelines, it seems like the intent behind it was to prevent this. So I kind of grapple with that, but also its location is so unique and it's such a donut hole that
Yeah.
I feel like it could be more flexible than anywhere else in the ORIAD district. And I don't think that the overall intent and sentiment behind the ORIAD guidelines was really thinking about this location as part of that. I mean, I know it was included, and it was included for a reason. So I'm grappling with that. You know, the whole idea is to prevent this from happening.
Sure.
But at the same time, it's a location that it really is a nuance.
For the city of Lawrence as a whole, it helps us keep from spreading.
Yeah.
This is a dense downtown area that we have the opportunity to really go ahead and embrace it and keep the density here rather than keep spreading and adding more and more of the county into the city of Lawrence.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
I do
Commissioner
think it's-
Buchanan, I can answer some of your questions now and a couple of things. For the height, there is not a height limitation in this high-density zoning area, but it does say new structures should step down to within 1 story of adjacent structures. And I respectfully have a different opinion. I do think the design guidelines were specific for this area.
Okay.
I think the intent is for it to be compatible, even if it is extremely high density. There's some samples in the ORIAD design guidelines of courtyard units that will work. There are examples across the United States where high density developments are meeting design standards for historic areas. I think it can be done. I think it may be a challenge, but I think this architect and team are up to that challenge.
Okay.
Okay, so our comments would be that if changed to R5, if the zoning change goes through, then the work on the property would need to meet the ORIAD overlay guidelines.
Yes, staff had suggest that you direct staff to draft a comment to the Planning Commission and City Commission about the ORIAD design guidelines with the chair's approval and signature.
Love it.
Good with that.
So moved.
Second.
Third. I'm looking forward to what you come up with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do we need a vote on that?
Yes.
Okay, we'll take a vote. Commissioner Hernley.
You can't.
He's
Can't vote.
abstaining.
He's
Oh, right, I forgot. Commissioner Klein.
Aye.
Commissioner Buchanan.
Aye.
Commissioner Cunningham.
Aye.
Commissioner Dearborn.
Aye.
And Coleman is an aye. With one abstention. Thank you.
Thank you. We've put together a great team for this project, so
Yeah.
we're really thinking about the city.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what you come up with.
Put in fire escapes.
No kidding.
100%, and sprinkler systems. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any other items? No. Okay, with that, we're adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is Stan still on?
Yeah, a couple of those buildings.
Or did he
going
jump
away
off?
is
I doubt it.
Not a disaster.
Well.
It doesn't look like it.